Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Magic and Miracles, where you learn how to be the magician of your life. My name is Anna, and I created Magic and Miracles in order to help people of all walks of life all around the world learn how to manifest on purpose. I've been a coach for 10 years, been coaching on YouTube almost for 3 years now. Woohoo! What an experience. And I created what's called a signature coaching package, which covers my signature coaching program in 2 to 3 months. This is what I recommend. If you're interested in coaching with me, you need to first book 1 hour session in which we discuss what you would like to work on and just to make sure that we're the right match. You do need to also sign the coaching agreement before we rendezvous for the first hour. Upon conclusion of that hour, if we decide to proceed, you are expected to book that package. So we rendezvous in that package 3 times per week. I like to work with this intensity, especially in the beginning when I'm getting to know someone, because we cover quite a bit of ground. I start with your history, all the mama drama panorama, as I call it. I want to understand who's coming into my coaching. I want to really understand your beliefs, the blueprint that drives your reality currently. And then we have some exercises which allow you to release the past timeline, like forgiveness, processing emotions, very important because you letting go of those emotions. You are letting go of that timeline. So that's crucial. There's a lot of exercises that I employ depending on the person who's coming into coaching. So I also custom make my coaching for that person. The last part of my coaching is, of course, to manifest. Although this is the structure, I always, again, customize the process depending on what my client needs immediately. And of course, I'm there to help with everything that I have, the arsenal of my methods and my practices. Sometimes 2 months is enough for a person, but again, it's case by case. I've seen 6 months in coaching with me in different situations. Sometimes I downgrade the package to twice a week and then eventually once a week. And this is kind of, for some people, it's easier to kind of wean off this way, which is fine. So it depends on the personality. If you're interested in finding out about coaching, my email is below. The topic of today is the matrix and your specific person. So this universe, this experience that we're living in is actually exactly like the Matrix. Like when people say Matrix was a documentary, I wholeheartedly agree. Now, there's some things that I've experienced and continue to experience that are just slightly different, that I would describe them in terms of experience. And I'm going to, share some of these things now. But I think in essence, people agree on a whole that this is a simulation, very much so. This is a dream. And therefore, why that is important to understand is because when you really download this fact that this is not to be taken so seriously, it becomes a lot easier for you to manifest. It becomes a lot easier to not obsess, okay, and to see the big picture. I think those things are really important to kind of ease the pain of the human experience. I'm really serious, So listen, I started this channel because of this, because I predominantly just continue seeing this pain in the community, the people that really suffer and don't understand. So if you think this is unimportant, you're wrong. Okay? If you're one of these people who want just a quick fix and this and that, no, it's not going to help you. You really need to download the big picture. Because when you know the big picture, then all this other minutia, like a specific person. You're gonna be fucking kidding me. You're gonna be like flying on top of the world. You're gonna be talking like me, like SP, what the fuck is that? Like, that's a sneeze. That's a piece of cake. When you understand who you really are, it's just gonna blow your motherfucking mind. And I've had my mind blown. Listen, I've had these experiences mainly, so in childhood, it happened whilst I was awake. As I grew older, you know, the whatever, the veil drops or whatever you want to say, and now I did experience this disconnect, especially in my 20s, until I came back around in my late 20s, thank God. But the interactions I'm having, like in my adult life, let's just say, are in my dream state. But I gotta tell you, those are not dreams. You know, it's reality. It is, in fact, like I have said many times, it is more real than what is here. And I know a lot of you, like I coach a lot of you, and you're so fucking smart and advanced, and just really impressed with the quality of my clients. Just really, I mean, you guys keep me going, not for nothing, but, you know, I've had some challenges whilst on YouTube, and it's for you that I keep going because you just inspire me so much. Anyway, not to get carried away, but you guys have these experiences, and these experiences are real. So let me give you just how I'm understanding this whole situation, okay? So I've had this relationship with the other side, like I said, since I was a little child. And what is the continuous, shall we say, experience over and over again is that when I fall asleep in some of these dreams, some of them are lucid. I'm literally creating my life in advance. And this I had to learn over time how to do. It is not easy. You really have to be disciplined, which is why 3D is a really good school for that. But also parallel to that, like, so you have all these like lucid dream experiences, you get clues, you get, you know, prophetic dreams. I mean, I've had those like back to back to back. But what you also have is a team. There is a team that is literally assigned to you. And so in some dreams, I see them like, I don't know, like if I was returning to Star Trek kind of deal. That's how I see them. They're all in a group. They all work with me. They're all there to support me. It's like the Matrix. It's like these people, you know, behind the computers and all of that shit. It's kind of like that. Every time I go to visit, whenever I need help, whenever I need this, that, and the other, a quantum leap, rearranged timelines, all these other crazy shit that they have done on my behalf, I rendezvous with them. They know when I need the support. It's kind of like calling support, calling customer service. I'm so fucking serious. When I'm telling you this, you have that too. You just have to become aware of it. You have to open yourself up to the reality that this is actually the case. Now, listen, this is how I remember them. In some dreams, they do come in as angels to me, and it's a different scenery. It's like, like going on to the other side when people pass, it's like the garden and all of that, beautiful, magnificent. I mean, just breathtaking. There are no words to describe. But mainly, they are kind of like this support system on my behalf that literally fix me up, okay? And you have that too. So you go with them with a dilemma. It's an intention. Whenever you fall asleep, it's not just to, it goes beyond falling asleep to wish fulfilled. It goes beyond to falling asleep to affirmations. I'm sorry that I'm giggling, but I'm just here to share, having done all the research for the last, God knows, I keep saying 15. I have never actually done the math. But anyway, it's about 15 years of just everything that's out there, and then comparing notes with my own experiences. You know, this is where I'm at, and I want to share this with as many people so that, first of all, maybe you know that you're not alone, that you're not crazy or anything like that. But also, if you're not experiencing this right now, like to open yourself up to this experience, because I definitely, from the get-go, I was open. Like as a child, I was open. In the beginning, I was scared. I'm not going to lie. There were a couple of things that really freaked me out. And I said, never again, universe. And then in adulthood also, it happened a couple of times. Like really, like I tested my power to such a degree where it was like, this is a little spooky. Let's just like dial it down a notch kind of deal. Because for my human brain, it's very, So, but it's not enough to fall asleep to some kind of a technique. You're falling asleep with an intention to get the answer, to get the help, to get whatever. I mean, I've made intentions where I would say, I want to fall asleep in one reality and wake up in another parallel timeline and things like that. And with very specific instructions, for my higher self, whatever you want to call it. Like people have different names, God, blah, blah, blah. Fact is, you need to be aware there's a team. There's a team that is super fucking intelligent. They're geniuses at what they do. Okay, top-notch kind of situation. And on your behalf, we have these consultations. Now, I don't remember precisely what they are, but I have an overall, like when I wake up, I know there were very positive exchanges and they were very helpful and everything got solved and it was instantaneous and very satisfying, let's just say. It's not nothing that we necessarily do physically. We just talk about things. I tell them what I need from them. I tell them I'm giving them my requests, right? So that much I remember. And they listen, and then there are some suggestions. Most of it I don't remember, but what I do know is that they received it. And inevitably, like in the morning, I wake up in a really good mood, like a cleansed, really centered, really, I don't know, elevated. Listen, you can have a healing this way. I know for like many a time, like, I'll have this thing or that, like a cold or a flu or whatever. And I would be like, you know what, by the morning, I really want to feel good kind of deal. And, they shorten it. They shorten the time of the experience now. You know what I mean? In reasonable terms as per the terrestrial experience. But nevertheless, it does go away quite quickly. And so be aware, therefore, that your requests, if they're intentional and if they are backed up by this overall profound understanding that the world is not only on your side, there's like a special team, like a squad of people. I don't know, it's not people, it's beings. They're beings. They're highly evolved beings working on your behalf. I don't believe for 1 second I'm the only one like that. It would be too weird, okay? So, but the intention has to be there. And you can arrange your crew. I know that also, that I selected these guys and I, there was selected is, I don't know, it's like fun, language is funny this way. It's just vibrationally attracted with intention. Again, everything with intention, like on the other side, it happens instantaneously when there is an intention, when there is not like, ooh, maybe not, maybe yes. It's like, no, this is a command. This is a calling. I'm calling out with my vibration. This is what I want to create in a, somebody who will fulfill this part of my life for me, and this is the kind of power that you really have. You have these capacities of making agreements with your, like the personnel behind you, the rearranging the theme, the overall pattern that you have, the theme of your life, making certain adjustments. Oh my God, you can go crazy. Revision is not even like, it's barely scratching the surface. You can be, it's, and so one world has nothing to do with another. And I've traveled these worlds many a time. It's like a completely different person. Like when I look at a photo from a certain era of mine, I don't have anything in common with that person. And I've made these jumps intentionally in certain situations. This is why I say that I thrive on challenges, because first of all, you learn a lot. And secondly, you get to elevate. Again, Earth is a school. The more you learn, the more you elevate. And that's another thing. So if you incorporate your challenges, meaning if you reinterpret them, not incorporate, as an upgrade, every time you have a challenge, you're upgrading. Like when you're exercising and you muscle, you're building something new, something fresh, something that will like make you completely another level of genius. And that's how I view those things. Now, of course, in terrestrial terms, when somebody, an SP leaves you and this and that, of course, it's a heartbreak. And of course, it's not pleasant. And nobody denies the fact that being a human is a fucking challenge and a half. But see, the thing is, you can feel that. You can feel all the emotions that you currently may be feeling and still know the universe is on your side. Because it's never going to let you fuck up enough that you really fuck yourself up, kind of deal, unless you really insist. That's another kind of situation. If you really just mean well, I should start with that. If you really mean well and your energy is good, you should know that even though you feel certain things, this too shall pass, and the universe will create magic even around this situation that right now you perceive as something completely unwanted. So when you learn to translate this in your mind in that way, and you get to consult with your guides on the other side, it becomes that this is a game, man. This is a fabulous game. Even though it appears serious, it looks serious, it may be serious, but it's not serious enough to fucking freak you out and let yourself get carried away with negative emotions. The universe is not gonna let you fuck you up. No way, provided you mean well. Parenthesis here. Now, if you're going out of your way to harm somebody, it takes a special dedication. It takes a special dedication, I'll say that. But you insist on a certain kind of creation and you will get it eventually, kind of like your wish is my command kind of situation. So in that sense, like always, whenever somebody did something against me, I always really feel bad for them. Because, on the other side, not only are they going to, just basically receive back what they put out, it's obvious, but on the other side, everybody's equal, right? So when you pass away, on the other side, in the 5D or whatever you want to call it, everybody's equal. And everybody's going to face the consequences on the other side. It's not going to be hell but you're going to have to pay for it. And it's a very, you know it. When you get on the other side, there were things that, I wish I didn't do to myself. For instance, stay with my drug addict ex for such a long time. And for a long time, I felt very regretful. And that showed up in my dreams. But I also saw, my higher self let me see what is going to await my, ex-drug addict boyfriend after he passes. The kind of, I don't want to say torture, but the kind of emptiness you're going to have to go through. It's not a pleasant experience. In other words, you put in a special place where the vibration is no good. You're going to have to earn your accolades back up. So the entirety of the universe is a school, but it's also a game if you understand how to play with it. And the only way to play this game is with love. So anytime you're in doubt, just go back to, is this out of love? Is this out of love for me? Is this out of love towards this person? That's it. You know, if you can just be disciplined enough to maintain your vibration as high as you can, even though, and this is why I'm trying to help to elevate your perspective towards higher grounds, because on that level, this is just a theater. It's not serious enough to want to wish somebody ill. It's not serious enough. None of this, like the material stuff, the money, the whatever, the recognition and all of this. This is just an illusion. This is just a theater. I think the ultimate reason we're coming here to Earth is to play with each other, to learn, to upgrade, obviously, but to also contribute, you know. And I'm really like acutely aware of this fact that I'm here to serve a purpose, to serve a role, to give my energy to the world and to give love. And I think like when you think in these simplistic terms, you really start to understand how to create. It becomes so simple in your mind. Because if for the majority of the time you're vibrating, you're dedicated to vibrate as love, as somebody who gives to the world, you're so in fucking tune, man. You're just so in tune, you have all the answers. It becomes so super fucking simple. There are no more questions. You're just vibrating love and you're on top of the world, and it's another kind of situation on that level. Because, you know, manipulating or suffering or concocting something or doing weird shit, it becomes like, what are you, a clown? Like, you have such power and you're descending to this low level stupid stuff. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like not being intelligent enough, I suppose, in that way, to not use your power in the higher form, in the higher understanding where you need to understand who you are. It goes back to that. It just goes back to that. So when somebody, for example, it becomes so obvious in coaching, when somebody is not manifesting something, right? So let's bring it down to earth now. It must be that love is missing. And I don't mean romantic love necessarily, which is obvious, you know, if you're dealing with an issue regarding SP. But on the whole, there's a lack of maybe self-love that starts with that as well. Love and gratitude towards the experience, the understanding of it all, that this is just a playground, you know. The universe is always for you. It's never against you unless you're against yourself. Simple like that, you know. It's like no one takes away my life. I have the power to lay down. I have the power to pick it up again. That's from the Bible. But love is literally life. You know, to love is to live, to be alive. So if something's not manifesting, something's not being fed love, you know. It's kind of like a plant that has not seen the sun in a very, very long time, you know, that kind of situation. And a plant that necessitates a lot of sun, let's just say, to grow. It's like that. So in simple terms, bringing it to earth, even closer to earth, it just means there are some things that are out of alignment with the understanding that you are as powerful as you probably cannot imagine. You know, when I learned scripting, I taught myself scripting when I was like 12. And I started paying attention when things started happening. Today, I really have to pay attention what I script. But once done, this is a standing order, like Neville would say. This is an order. No one, it's trying, there's no fucking disputing it. This is the law of the land. But you see, like, it's not confidence necessarily. It's just the understanding how the universe works. If you understand that you have this power, you would never misuse it. You know, you wouldn't use it stupidly, i.e. to harm somebody. You would only use it to create. You would be understanding how unlimited you really are. You would not limit yourself, whether that's, you know, you're a well-meaning person or not. You would not limit yourself in that moment. You would truly grasp the idea of being God. That if God, and this is not in arrogance at all, this is like you're creating your life, you know? So you are the God. Who else is the God if you're not the God? You wrote it down, you spoke it at some point, you thought it at some point, you felt it at some point. Now, whether or not you remember it or not, whether or not you're conscious of it or not, whether or not you want to acknowledge it or not, but, you know, there was a ripple there that happened in emotion and thought, in vibration, and it manifested. No big deal, though. No big deal. It's not necessarily a panic attack situation, you know, and it can be a very powerful learning experience if you make it one. If you make it one. So I want to tell you, panic is entirely optional. Internal panic, I mean. That you can feel sad, that you can feel, you know, some type of way, and all of this is completely normal and allowed. But the internal panic, that's completely optional. This, like, you know, descending into a hopelessness or doubt, even maybe, that the universe is on your side and wants your back. Don't you ever forget it. Universe is so on your side. It is ridiculous. The whole life is rigged in your favor. How so? Because everything that you construct, it becomes. It just becomes. You know? You're in the center of it all, quite literally, and you, this artist in your mind, you know, presented as this character in this play on Earth that you're playing out currently, pretending to be a certain way. Try another way. We're all pretending here. We're all kind of actors playing out a role, a certain personality. You need to change the personality to get a different reality. That's from Joan Dispenza. Of course, you guys all know it. It's so true. True story, you know? It doesn't matter what kinds of affirmations you do if you're not in agreement with the kind of role you want to play here, the kind of timeline you want to be on. And if you're doing that, and if you're doing that with love, no power in the world can stop you. But no fucking power. If you're, like I would say, divinely guided, if you're divinely inspired, and you understand the kind of orchestration on your behalf that happens every single time you make up your mind, just understand that once decision is made, it's in stone. Unless you go back on it. Unless you go back on it. And in that sense, like, who can argue again with the boss, with the CEO of the whole universe? But take it seriously. You're not taking it seriously right now, perhaps. Take yourself super fucking seriously. I don't care if you need to lose weight. I don't care if you don't have the clothes you want. I don't care if you think that, you know, this is a lot of crap right now that I'm talking about. It's not. You're a god. You know, you just kind of like forgot all about it. The role you play, the really, really, really important role you play and have been playing all this time. So maybe this will serve as a reminder to fucking get off your ass and play God, okay? This may be your problem. Maybe you forgot. So even the detours, even the so-called things that are in opposition, they're there also on your side. Just remember that. So see how like hate is optional, resentment is optional, thinking, that this is hopeless is optional, completely optional. That's just an interpretation. What if it's all your orchestration towards something that you secretly wished for and now really wouldn't admit to yourself? What if you just totally are responsible for this orchestration? You are. So it becomes that I want you to think of this as completely a theater play. I'm trying my best to kind of inspire you by the way that I see things, and I'm going to talk more about it. But in your dreams, I'm sure you see certain things that give you clues that, you know what, this is not the only reality I'm living in. Okay, I'm playing this personality in this reality, another one in another. At least this is how I experience it. So how can I make it the most out of this reality? That eventually will not be, once this life is over, I'm sure you'll move on to another movie or another theater. But how can I make this the most fun? By starting to understand my role that I play in this theater. Let's just have fun with this, shall we? Let's just have a little bit more fun, and let's not make it such a serious attack on you if something doesn't go precisely as you imagined it would. What if this is exactly how it should be? What if this is exactly what will help you? What if this is exactly what needed to happen for you to heal, to grow, and to get your SP back, but in a totally different, reformatted, upgraded level, quite frankly? What if you orchestrated this breakup yourself and you wanted that break exactly to heal, to grow, and to reformat this relationship? Because you, in your brilliance, underneath it all, with your higher self's guidance, foresaw that this timeline wasn't going anywhere in that direction. And you wanted to make it better. What if it's a plan that you're carrying out yourself? So see, in that sense, it becomes more like you are the storyteller. The story is that you wrote the story. And if you're not quite pleased with the story so far, let's find out why you wrote this particular story and let's just tweak it around. Simple like that. But of course, fundamentally, the belief system, okay, the infamous belief system, it really does need to change. If you want a new reality, you do need to have a new personality, as Joe Dispenza says. It's a personality, it's a belief system. You need to become a higher version of yourself that really does understand that you are the golden Buddha and everybody's just carrying out your instructions. Everybody's just bowing down to you. And if you start thinking of it in these terms, not in a narcissistic sense, as I always say, but in the sense that you are communicating the situation right now to your universe, and maybe you're not understanding the big picture. The big picture that is always on your side. And maybe, but just maybe, you're just carrying out your theater. So let's get to know what drives you. And let's get you to know you all over again. So you can make really good friends. To never judge yourself, to never think of yourself low, to never really, think that you need to become somebody else to please somebody. No. You are here for a very specific purpose, and you really need to get familiar with that. And I hope this audio illuminated some of that. Thank you very much for listening. All information from me again is below. Until next time, ciao, ciao.